We start with John Elway. Elway will forever be a hero in Denver for winning back-to-back titles in the late 90s. Now, he's returned to the Super Bowl, once again with the Broncos, but this time as the team's chief of football operations. He's the man who lured Peyton Manning to Denver, and I asked him just how he managed that, plus what it feels like to be here without his jersey. This is your first time in a blazer play with the Super Bowl. How different does it feel this week?
It feels a lot different, actually. You know, as a player, this is the biggest game of your career, and especially as a quarterback. There's a lot of things that ride on this game because of the fact of the attention that the game gets. Being with a coat on, you're a lot more in the background, which is a little bit more enjoyable, and especially physically, it's a lot easier because I know physically I can't handle it these days.
What is the hardest part for you of sitting and watching the game? Do you get that pit in your stomach?
Yeah, you get nervous, but also know that we have a good football team, and if we go out and play like we're capable of, then we have a good chance to win.
You had that great commercial a couple years ago where you showed off your dance moves.
We're all having fun together, and so therefore I want to, break out the moves.
If you guys win, are we going to see a John Elway dance celebration?
You might, yes. You know what? They can see anything anything they want, and the fact that if we were able to win, that be able to show that off would be great.
Come on, be good.
Well, I'll try anything if we can win.
All right. Well, we all remember your second Super Bowl win, holding up that trophy. You walk off the field, you retire. You're only 38 years old. You still have half your life ahead of you. What was it like for you trying to figure out what you wanted to be when you grew up from there?
Well, I think when I first retired, I kind of figured out, for the first couple of years, I wanted to kind of get away from football. I was in the car business. At that point in time, realized, after 2 years, I'd played enough golf and kind of wanted to dip my foot back and get involved in football again, and therefore got involved with the Arena Football League.
Stop. Just came by to welcome you to Arena Football and wish you luck in tomorrow's game.
Had that for 6 years and ran that team, and I enjoyed that. I realized that, having been in the game of football my whole life, that's kind of where I was born to be. It was hard for me to get used to not having a scoreboard on Sunday afternoons in the fall because that's all I was used to. And so I found out that I needed a scoreboard.
You also had some hard years personally after you retired. Your dad died, your twin sister, I know you were very close to, battled cancer, and she died. You got divorced. How did you emerge from all of that changed from the man that we knew and saw on the field?
There's learning experiences in everything. I think that those are also situations that are meant to make you tougher. To me, it's God saying, okay, you're going to see both sides of it and make you a better person with both ends, winning championships and having some tough times.
And that's the person you were when you arrived back at the Broncos. You've got all these other star athletes who tried to make it as executives. The track record is not so great. Your contemporary Dan Marino went into player personnel with the Dolphins. He lasted 3 weeks before he quit. What were you scared of when you started?
Well, I think that any time you take on a new challenge, it's the unknown. And I knew a lot about football, but there was also, I knew that I had a lot to learn. And as I said when I took the job, I know what I don't know. I've just enjoyed the position because it's given me a chance to get back in the game, have that scoreboard, and continue to learn.
You went to Stanford. We all knew you were a smart guy, but you were known for your arm as a player. Now you enter this second stage, this second arena. You can't throw your way out of a situation. Was it strange for you not to have one of your main gifts in football just not at your disposal?
Well, I think there's, obviously when I had the arm that I had, that was my security blanket. And so, when you move away from that, I think that's, as a football player, you have all control. You have the control of everything that goes on the field, really, as a quarterback. Whereas in the position I'm in now you're putting those guys together with no control between the lines. And so, fortunately, I've got no problem turning that control over to Peyton. He's done a tremendous job with that. And my job has been to get the best people around him.
Your signature move as an executive, at least so far, was moving on from Tim Tebow and acquiring Peyton Manning. And for people who don't remember, Tim Tebow had just won a playoff game.
Shotgun for Tim Tebow. Play fakes in the pocket, sets, throws, pass, caught. Touchdown! Denver is over!
He was enormously popular in Denver and across the country. What made you think, you know what, this isn't the right situation and I'm going to take the risk to move on?
Well, Tim did. He had a tremendous year that year, and after being 4-12 and the way he came in, I think he won 7 out of his first 8 starts. But anytime you have a guy like Peyton Manning, when you got a guy that's a Hall of Fame quarterback that's out there, that still had a lot of football left in him, we couldn't pass up that opportunity.
It was still a risk with Peyton. He had multiple neck surgeries.
You bet the farm on him.
Well, after having met, when Peyton got released, and he came to Denver, and I had a chance to spend the day with Peyton and kind of see where his mindset was. We were getting a Hall of Fame quarterback with a chip on his shoulder, and to me, you can't find a better guy than that. And he's a competitor. He was on a new mission, and I was ready to jump on that mission with him.
We've been talking to two-time Super Bowl champion John Elway, who now heads up the Broncos football operations. 2 years ago, Elway had a lot of competition recruiting Peyton Manning, including from, of all teams, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle coach Pete Carroll actually flew to Denver unannounced to try to snatch Manning away before he signed his contract. But Elway persevered.
We all know that nothing lasts forever.
There were a handful of other teams also chasing after Peyton, and in the end, Peyton said he picked the Broncos largely because of you. What did you do right?
I put myself in Peyton's shoes, and if I was, what would I want in my second team? And so I just tried to provide that with the Broncos, and then I didn't hard sell them. I just said, that's what we have to offer.
Did you have some big moment with Peyton?
I think the one big moment we had was a night that he came to Denver. I said, Peyton, here's my advice to you, not as somebody that wants you to come be a Denver Bronco, but as a friend and a fellow quarterback, is number one, take your time on this decision because it's a big decision. And number two, make sure you get away from Indianapolis. I know that that's where you want to finish your career. Unfortunately, the way things worked out, that's not going to work out. So you need to come to grips with what happened there. Get over that. Once you can do that, then you can pick where your next team's going to be, what's going to be the best for Peyton Manning. And he did a nice job of doing that. He took a couple weeks, even though it was tough for us waiting that long. It was well worth it.
What was it like to wait and then finally pick up the phone and have him say, okay, I'm coming?
Well, the funny thing is, when he called me, he said, I said, how you doing? And, he says, I'm doing well. He says, but it's hard calling these teams telling I'm not coming there.
I called John Elway Monday morning and let him know that I wanted to be a Denver Bronco.
And thank God when he said we're coming.
So Peyton commits, and was there a moment early on before he got on the field that you just said, all right, I hope this works?
Yeah, I mean, I made the bed. I knew we were going to sleep in it, so that was our job to try to get the best people around him that we possibly could, and the best coaches, and so we went to work from there. And, I had our fingers crossed that things were going to come back.
And, of course, it's clearly worked. You're in the Super Bowl, and you had the ultimate Super Bowl walk-off home run, right? Win 2 Super Bowls, walk into retirement. And there are people who think Peyton should do the same thing. If he wins, that he should just retire. What do you think?
Well, I think Peyton still has a lot of football left in him. I think his body is still in really good shape and still enjoys the preparation, and he still works hard at it. So, no, I don't. I think there's more in his future, and I think he's got a lot still to do. So, I don't think it's time for Peyton to walk away.
Said by the man who wants him on the field for his team, that's for sure, right?
That's right.
There's all this talk about what it would mean if Peyton won a Super Bowl, but I want to know, what would it mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think there would be a lot to being, have worked it hard in this position, and especially when I took this position, that there's a lot of people that said, a lot of naysayers against. So it's always nice to be able to, say you've done something people can't say you can't do. And so, it'd be a great first step. I still plan on doing this for a while, and so it'd be nice to be able to get a Super Bowl championship under our belt.
Your dad was a football coach. He actually went into personnel. He was the director of pro personnel for the Broncos in the neighborhood of what you do now. What do you think he would say if he saw you now?
Believe me, I've thought about that several times, especially when I first got this job, and now with the success that we've had in the last couple of years, that I miss him. It makes me miss him anymore because I wish he could have been a part of it, because I know how much he would enjoy it, and really how much of a help he would have been too. So it definitely makes me miss him more now.
You're going to be thinking of him on Sunday morning?
Will do. I'm open Monday morning, and it's a very good thought on Monday morning.